So that shows that the corresponding sides of these quadrilaterals are congruent. I now need to show that the angles are also congruent. Well, I know from the boxes that angle A is congruent to angle C, and that angle B is congruent to angle D. Remember, the reason I matched those up the way I did was because we have to show that corresponding parts are congruent. Which leaves looking at angles 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, I know that I have two parallel lines cut by a transversal. Thus, angle 2 is congruent to angle 3 because they're alternate interior angles. So that's by our alternate interior angle theorem. Similarly, angle 1 is congruent to angle 4 for the same reason. Thus, I have shown that quadrilateral ABFE is congruent to quadrilateral CDEF because all the corresponding sides and all the corresponding angles are congruent. Which brings us to the homework example. And this one actually shouldn't be too bad. I want you to prove theorem 4.3, the third angles theorem, which says if I have two triangles, and I know that two angles of one are congruent to two angles of the other, so I'm given angle A congruent to angle D and angle B congruent to angle E. I want to prove the third angle is congruent, so I want to prove angle C congruent to angle F. Go ahead, work that out for your homework. If you are wonderfully curious, then you can continue watching the video for the solution. Okay, so I'll use a two-column proof for this one. I'll have my statements and my reasons. First statement is always what I am given. I'm given angle A is congruent to angle D, and that angle B is congruent to angle E. I then know that measure of angle A equals the measure of angle D, and that measure of angle B equals the measure of angle E, and this is by definition of congruent angles. Which then lets me state that measure of angle A plus measure of angle B plus measure of angle C equals 180. Similarly, measure of angle D plus measure of angle E plus measure of angle F equals 180. And this is by our triangle sum theorem. That I know the angles of a triangle sum to 180 degrees. I can then say that the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C equals the measure of angle D plus the measure of angle E plus the measure of angle F, since both those chains equal 180, and this is by substitution. I can substitute again based on the line 2, giving me measure of angle D plus measure of angle E plus measure of angle C equals measure of angle D plus measure of angle E plus measure of angle F. And then I can subtract off the measure of angle D and the measure of angle E.